meeting. So we would just like to address this question. Are there any reasons, any concerns regarding vaccine safety? And we will address this with two scientists that I'm welcoming here tonight, Mr. Stefano Montanari from Italy and Mrs. Antonietta Gatti. They're both researchers at Nano-diagnostics, and they have just published a new paper in Vaccines and the Journal of Vaccine and Vaccinology.
Yes, vaccinations.
And I will ask now what your recent findings are about nanoparticles.
Before starting, it's important to understand what particles are. Particles we are looking for in vaccines, but not only there. Back in the 90s, my wife and I discovered that micro and nanoparticles, i.e. small pieces of matter already known as present in the atmosphere and in the environment, could enter the human body, the human organism, and be the responsible of a lot of diseases, which we called nanopathologies. Nano because of nano matter, nanoparticles. Those particles are produced by waste incinerators, car traffic, heating, lots of procedures, a lot of processes that involve high temperature, mainly, not only but mainly. Those particles can enter the body through inhalation and through ingestion, mainly. I mean, they float in the air because they are very, very small, very thin, very tiny. You can inhale them, and they enter your lungs down to the alveoli, which is the innermost part of the lungs. Once they are there, they can enter the blood, and in the blood they can be responsible of blood coagulation. They form clots, blood. Those clots, if they are in the vein, go directly to the lungs and be the cause of pulmonary thromboembolism. If they are in the arteries, they can go everywhere, mainly in the brain or in the heart, mainly, but not only. But that happens only in a small percentage of people, about 10% of people who don't have some chemicals in their organism, their bodies. Most people.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is this maybe the kind of issues that we also see when we talk about global warming and the pollution of the atmosphere?
Pollution, yes. No, it's slightly different.
Okay.
Pollution is one thing, and global warming is something different. But in some instances they have the same origin, because pollution involves the production of a lot of CO2, for example, or methane, or other gases that are responsible for the greenhouse effect. Particles we deal with are part of that pollution, but they are not gas. They are not a gas. Okay. They are solid matter. They are very, very small, very thin, very light. They float in the air, so they can enter the body through inhalation, through respiration, or they can be ingested because they fall on, for example, on vegetables. Okay. Animals eat them, and those particles enter their muscles, and their muscles is our meat. So we eat animals that are polluted. So those particles can be carried by the blood everywhere, in every district of the body. once they are there, they are captured by the tissues, the various tissues, and those tissues cannot eliminate them, cannot get rid of them. So once they are there, they are surrounded by another kind of tissue, an inflammatory tissue, and that tissue stays there forever. Forever, because those particles are, in a way, eternal. They cannot be reduced, cannot be transformed into other things. So they stay there forever. Depending on where they go, those particles go, they can cause different diseases, different pathologies. For example, when they reach the liver, then they can cause an inflammation of the liver, and in the long run, that inflammation becomes a cancer. Always. It takes time. Maybe some months, for example, in soldiers, they inhale a lot of dust because of explosions. Cancer may take a few months. In normal people, it may take years or even decades.
So
if they go...
Your research now is not on the diseases, but first on where we find these particles.
But they deal with the diseases, yes. Because yes. we or my wife,
yes,
she developed a system using an electron microscope to detect those particles inside the body. I mean, we take biopsic samples, for example, of a cancer, and we look inside those tissues and discover if there are those micro nanoparticles. We know that those particles can induce cancer also because we have done experiments on rats in the past. But those particles are not only the responsible for cancer, but also, for example, if they go to the pancreas, they can cause a diabetes because you don't produce insulin anymore. If they go to the brain, and that's important with vaccines, they can induce some neurological diseases, depending on the spot of the brain where they end their trajectory, their trip.
Can you just specify now the specific research that you just published? You know what the new findings are, because tomorrow we will have the full explanation of the...
So what's important to understand is that those particles can induce diseases and also neurological ones. So about 15 years ago, we started to analyze vaccines. At the beginning, it was the University of Mainz, German University of Mainz, that gave us some samples of vaccines to us because they wanted us to analyze them, because those vaccines produced some problems to people who had those particles, those vaccines injected. So they wanted to know why. And we discovered that both vaccine and the tissue, which was hit by the particles contained in the vaccines, because we discovered that those vaccines were polluted by particles. Those particles were contained equally in the vaccine and in the tissue. So we started to analyze vaccines, and after a while, an Italian university, the University of Parma, sent us a student for her thesis, and we analyzed 19 different vaccines with her, finding all of them polluted by micro and nanoparticles. Then we went on analyzing them, and now we analyzed about 30 vaccines with many samples of each vaccine, and we discovered that they were all polluted, all but with a single exception, and that exception was the sole veterinary vaccine animal vaccine which we had analyzed. The only one which was clean, without anything inside. So that's pretty surprising.
So it's possible to have one without?
It's absolutely possible. So
so it's
technological,
not that there is bound to be particles everywhere, those nanoparticles.
From the technological point of view, it's absolutely possible, because if you make a vaccine for cats clean,
you can make one for humans as well.
Also.
Okay, what can you name a few of these nanoparticles?
Well, it's important to understand that it's not so much what the particles are made of, which is critical, but it's the fact that those particles are foreign bodies. So the human tissues react against those particles, not much because they contain iron, titanium, tungsten, lead. Those are elements which we found in all those particles, but because they are foreign bodies. Those foreign bodies, those particles are like a bullet. If I shoot somebody, and that bullet makes a hole in the heart, it's not very important if the bullet was made of stainless steel, of titanium, of iron, whatever. What's important is that they punched a hole in the heart.
So if I understand it well, it's also the way they enter the body.
Not the way. It's because that particle is something that the body does not recognize as self.
Because we breathe,
of course,
of all these things all the time.
Yes, okay. but there's...
So what is the trouble then with vaccines?
There's one big difference. Big difference. First, when you breathe, you inhale air containing particles. But when you exhale that air, you exhale 99.9999% of what you inhale. So if your lungs are healthy, you exhale the vast majority of the particles you inhale. If you eat them, if you ingest them, then you go, after some hours or some days, you go to the bathroom and you get rid of them, 99.999%. But if you inject them, they stay all inside your body, all. And there is another thing to be kept in mind, that vaccines contain a lot of other substances that can act as that can help the particles to cause diseases, to trigger those diseases. So it's a very, very poisonous cocktail of things.